Hello and welcome to another episode of Investec Minds podcast, where we speak to leading experts in the bank about the opportunities and the challenges facing South Africa's economy. In today's episode, we're looking at the aviation sector, an important industry for tourism, both leisure and business tourism, and an important industry for trade, with around 30% of the goods that we consume being moved by air. We're in conversation with Thato Matsha, a senior aviation consultant over at Investec CIB. She joins me now. Thato, thanks so much for joining the podcast.
Thank you for having me, Fifi.
Tell us a little bit more about the work that Investec does in the aviation sector.
Yeah, so Investec Aviation Finance offering, I could say we started really around 2002. So we've been involved in this industry for quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
And what we basically offer, it's in the name. We finance aviation assets. That includes commercial aircraft, helicopters, freighters, corporate jets.
How is the dynamic tourism industry right now? What does that mean for the kind of work that you're doing in the industry right now?
So I think, the pandemic presented quite some interesting opportunities. I think when we came straight out of the pandemic, there was a lot of revenge travel. I think you might have heard of that term.
Yep.
And I think there was a concern that it's going to die down and people are going to, run out of the savings they had because they could do nothing during COVID and not travel as much. But that doesn't seem to have happened. And I think what has been great about COVID is it's changed people's patterns. I think even as a South African, you find now you fly more to Cape Town, you go and discover a lot more of your domestic tourism. So it's really taken people out of their seats into the aircraft, traveling and seeing things. And I think being a lot more connected, as a nation on TikTok, etc. You see someone, I don't know, Tyler's popular overseas, Amapiano, you're thinking, oh, South Africa is interesting. What happens there? You're getting a lot more American tourists, whereas traditionally we were getting, German tourists, people who really understood the African landscape.
So does that mean business is good right now?
I would say business is good. Yeah, look, the challenges, it's not without its challenges. You still have, geopolitical issues, you still have exchange rate concerns if you're operating, outside of the USD. So the challenges are still there, but I think it's definitely very positive at the moment.
From my understanding, the aviation industry, particularly the airlines, they make most of their money from moving people around.
Yeah.
But I do know that cargo is also an important area for business for these carriers. So just talk to us about the cargo market and the work that Investec does there.
So in your normal passenger plane where there's space in the belly capacity, they often will put cargo there. But you do get some airlines as well who are sort of flight dedicated, freight aircraft. So that industry has always been there. But I must say, since COVID, it saw quite a boom and you saw a rise of airlines that are dedicated to freighter or seeing quite an increased focus. I think I was reading recently that Ethiopian Airlines, has opened a cargo center, just, as a show of the growth of their cargo industry. So, we finance freight aircraft. If the aircraft is dedicated freight, we're very happy to look at that. And what typically is a freight aircraft is what was a passenger before.
Okay.
They've pulled out the seats and they've put in what they need to do to make it a freight aircraft. You can get a factory-built freight, but often it's a conversion from a PAX aircraft. And, every consumer now wants next-day delivery. And the only way to really, I think the main way to guarantee next-day delivery, you have to make use of your air freight. So there is a lot of opportunity that presents in the African continent. It's obviously also dependent on the growth of that middle class, those people that are logging in online, spending their excess disposable income on whatever goods they need to buy. So I think as the African market grows, that middle, income, class kind of grows as well. It really creates, exciting opportunities for what can be sort of the cargo market here in Africa.
Okay, and we are very grateful and thankful for the conversation that you and I have just had right now. Fascinating insights into the aviation sector, and thanks for making us the more wiser about your world.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure, Fifi. Thank you.